Hey folks, this is Chandran here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Karlach Specific Build, another one of the early games builds. I call this one the Advocatus Diaboli, and I kind of lean into Wyll's vision of Karlach, where she's the evil one working for Zariel. The build is a little lighter on exploits than the other ones. We're not using any specific items, we're just using the fact that when Karlach eats soul coins, she gets plus 2d4 fire damage to her unarmed strikes, and then we're of course leaning into that. So it's nothing entirely special there. But we are doing some interesting thing for once with our levels here. So we're taking one level of Monk, one level of Cleric, and one level of Warlock. And let's just go through this. Hey, Withersman, nice to see you. It's been a while once again. It's a good thing he never gets older, right? For our first level, we're going to be taking a level of Monk. We could also start with a level of Warlock if we preferred those skills. That doesn't matter too much, but let's just go with Monk. We have our abilities set for Strength 8, Dexterity 16, Constitution 14, Intelligence 8, Wisdom 12, Charisma 16. We're going to be using Elixir of Hill Giant Strengths. This is why we have the Strength at 8, of course. For skill proficiencies, I prefer Acrobatics and Insight. You do you. The reason we take Monk is, of course, to get the activated ability. So when we use Unarmed Strike, let's just show it quickly here. I am going to Unarmed Strike this thing. And it will proc another attack here, which also counts as a primary attack, meaning we get our +5 bludgeoning damage on it. So we are getting 2 primary attacks. This is also why it's great to use the Hill Giant Strength on specifically this sort of build. This also has the plus 2d4 fire damage, of course. So that's why we are going Monk. Let's take our next level. For the second level, we are taking a level of Cleric. You can go Warlock here as well, doesn't matter. And I would prefer not to take Guidance in this build, because I want to be concentrating on Hex, but if you don't have it on anyone else, you can grab it here. Blade Ward is fine to have, even though it's not the strongest spell, and whatever else, doesn't matter too much. For our subclass, we take the Light Domain subclass. This is to get access to Warding Flare. Shield yourself with Divine Light, use your reaction to impose disadvantage on an attacker, possibly causing the attack to miss. This only triggers when they actually hit you, so if you up your armor class quite high, this means that your chance of getting hit is very low. It's only once per round, but most enemies only have 1 attack per round anyways at this level, so it doesn't matter too much. For DT, pick whichever one you please. For abilities, because we didn't take Cleric first, for whatever reason, the game has decided to throw 2 skills in the mix. This is not supposed to happen, but hey. And you can take History, Religion, Medicine, or Persuasion. Since we have high Charisma anyways, we could go for Persuasion, but I have someone else who does that. For prepared spells, take what you please. Sanctuary is a good fallback thing to have, and Shield of Faith is always nice. Probably not going to be using either. For our third level, let's go here. For our third level, we are taking a level of Warlock, specifically Fiend Warlock. And this is to get access to Dark One's Blessing. When you reduce a hostile creature to 0 hit points, this gift from your patron grants you 4 temporary hit points. 4 temporary is because 1 level of Warlock, and plus 3 from having 16 Charisma. So every time we kill something, we get a little bit of temporary hit points. Since we're already very hard to hit, we have medium armor proficiency, we have high dex, we have the warding light, and then we also regenerate temporary hit points whenever we kill something, so we're going to be quite tanky. For spells, this is where we pick up Hex to get some necrotic damage, and I like Expeditious Retreat as well. Just having plus another d6 on each of your attacks is also great when you have more than one of them, of course. For cantrips, we should not be taking Blade Ward, we already have that. We of course want Eldritch Blast, just to have access to force damage. And we want Mage Hand, because Mage Hand is amazing. Yep, that's it for the builds. For the items, we are using the Breastplate +1 that you can steal from next to Dammon, or you can just steal Lay Cells if you prefer. We're using a shield and nothing in our main hand. The shield is to get up to 19 armor class. It's quite a bit better to have 19, especially when you have the ability to reroll their attacks, than it is to have 17. For our ranged weapons, honestly, this is not something you're going to be using that often, but you might as well put something in this slot, right? And having the option to do the ranged attack whenever possible is quite nice. As you see, I'm not proficient with these, so our chance to hit is quite bad. But sometimes you need to shoot something down, or I don't know. And I have the Ring of Flinging as well. The reason we have that here is that we want someone who's able to throw around people, to stack them up for different combat situations. So this is not a DPS build per se. You can see you can do like, imagine 1d6 on top of this, so that's 10, that's 18, that's 23. As your max damage for each attack, you have 2 attacks. You can use resources to do flurry of blows, but that's only going to be a couple of times per rest, so it's not going to be too impressive, right? So the idea with the character is that we have a tanky character that still does decent damage and has the ability to battlefield control by throwing around people, stacking them up for AoEs or for something like the Horde Breaker attacks we have with Lacel on this build here. And yeah, that's about it for this. No exploits really needed, except for the ones I've mentioned that aren't really exploits, in my opinion. Now for buffs, of course, you could go for something like Warding Burn from Gale, which just means half damage from everything, basically. But I have something else set up from my main character, giving her Blade Ward all the time. And I'm mostly using that instead. We only have the 2 Warding Burn from Gale in this setup. And I want to be using that on other characters. She's quite tanky enough as it is, so that should be great. Good. Thank you for joining. If you have been, I've been Chandran. You have most definitely been awesome. Don't forget to do the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that nonsense. And